Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. Presented by Carolina Lightweights. Come get with us. When the action begins in the studio, our referees for tonight's event are Elgato Azul and Carolina Real Streamers. For the viewers in attendance and Facebook and YouTube users around the world, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. Live from the Elgato Azul TV studio in Louisville, Texas, it's time! What's up, slime lovers? I'm your host, Chris, a.k.a. Elgato Azul. My partner in slime over here, Jamie Dunn with Carolina Lightweights.
What's
Carolina
up, everybody?
Real Streamers. Welcome to the Slime Show. So, how's it going tonight, Jamie?
Doing good, brother. How's everything on your end, buddy?
Man, our whole house is sick, so it's just that time of year, man. Starts running through everything. So we got everybody in the house got it.
Oh man. Well, we hope for a speedy recovery for everybody, brother.
Well, it's not too bad. It's upper respiratory stuff, so
man,
don't feel bad. Just got it, you know. It's in the lungs, in the nose.
I don't want none of it.
So tonight should be an interesting show. We're going to talk just basically smart trolling motors, the new technology. Well, it's not that new. The smart trolling motors have been around for about 15 years, but they really started getting smart about 7 or 8 years ago, probably 8 years ago, with all the GPS, the go-to features, linking them to your graph. It's really changed the dragging game, the bait game, precision. It's probably the most out of anything that's come out in the last 25 years. The smart trolling motor has probably changed fishing more than anything.
That's for sure, man. And I'll tell you, I use mine for everything.
You don't realize how much you rely on that thing till it's not there.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, and you can still go out and fish, and you can still go out and do well, but you're not going to be able to go out and do the things that you were doing with the trolling motor. So
that's for sure, brother. Before
we get started, we'll run through real quick, see who all's in here. We got Muskrat Adventures. What's up, Roger? Welcome in, buddy. We got Daniel 45. What's up, Daniel? Welcome in, buddy. We got Brandon Ladd, Carolina Lightweights and Mad Cats teammate of ours. Welcome in, buddy. We got Danimals Creations. What's up, Dan? Welcome in, buddy. We got Facebook user. Sorry, we can't see who that is. I don't have Facebook pulled up. We are on StreamYard, streaming to Facebook and our YouTube channel, Elgato Azul TV. Yep. We got Adam Jr. Fishing on Faith. What's up, Adam? Welcome in, little man. It's been a while. You need to get back out on the boat. Come catch some tanks. We got Jeff Gordon. What's up, Jeff? How you doing, buddy? We got Vess. What's up, Vess? And we got Clayton, the certified fishing nut. Welcome in, buddy. And Robert McDaniel.
Welcome in.
How's everybody doing tonight? It's the holiday season. It's time for you men to start Christmas shopping.
Normally I wait till the day before. It makes it more interesting.
Daniel, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Looks like you've been killing them last few days. So we had Daniel on the show not too long ago. He's fun to talk to.
Looks like we got Micah in the house.
What's up, Micah? Welcome in, buddy. So I'll start with I think the first piece of that feature that they added was the spot lock.
Yes.
About 15 years ago, I got my first spot lock trolling motor, and it really changed my bait game because I could lock in over the top of a piece of structure and throw my net. So for me, that was the first thing that was smart about a trolling motor that I thought, wow, this is really cool.
That's it.
And I still use that feature a lot when I'm getting bait.
You know, I come from on the river, doing a lot of anchor fishing and stuff. But with the spotlight, Chris, I can just basically just pull up to a spot, throw that thing down, spot lock on it, try some areas out. Don't even have to pull that anchor out no more, man. And I love it.
Yeah. So in Texas, we use what's called a box anchor with our silver bottoms. We use a big box anchor. We call them Texas box anchors. I'm sure other guys use them too, but it's basically a giant, heavy ass box with some teeth.
Yeah.
And wherever you throw that thing is where you're going to be anchored to. So we had to throw those box anchors, and I went fishing with Daniel. I don't know. It's probably been it's been probably 7 years since that trip, but he was spot locking in the lake, uh, and we were tight lining. I mean, our lines weren't tight, but we didn't anchor that day. We spot locked, and I'm like, what? You gotta be kidding me. I've been out here throwing these damn box anchors. And he told me, yeah, if the wind is right, you can do that. And sometimes he said, sometimes I'll throw out one anchor just to kind of hold me. I believe that day it was pretty windy, and we might have put out an anchor out the back. But so I thought that was pretty cool. And, I've done that quite a bit. If I got a little bit of wind, I won't even break those damn anchors out. I just spot lock.
Yeah, I love it, man. I use that feature more than I do anything else, to tell you the truth. I mean, just constantly just jumping around, checking holes and stuff. I love it. And like you said, getting bait. I mean, it changes the game for sure. Anchor mode. Yep. Jeremy loves it too.
Yeah. So,
matter of fact, we used it a little while Saturday, didn't we, Jeremy?
I'll still throw the anchors a lot. If I'm deeper, I just really find it hard to open those anchor lockers and pull those things out.
Yeah.
But I will say, the other technology we're going to talk about tonight makes me not even want to anchor. I've gotten away from anchoring the last 15 years. It's because of this trolling motor. I can go do those different types of things with the trolling motor that I could have never done before, just drifting. So you would have to anchor for precision if you want to be precise. But smart trolling motor, this GPS enabled, is changed the game. So what's the second feature you think probably that you use the most?
Well, Chris, I've talked with you about, man. I love that controller, man. I sit there and I use it a lot when I'm dragging on my baits. I can control the speed. I can speed it up, slow it down, make my rods jump a little bit. Just try to make that reaction bite and stuff on those baits.
Are you using just
regular controller? Yeah.
So you're not using do you use the cruise control feature, or you just
I myself, I like being more hands-on with it. I like just changing it up and down and constantly changing things myself. The cruise control feature is pretty good, but I like being able to jump that thing up and down, back and forth, and so I'm always got that controller in my hand.
Roger says laying a track, I think, is the next best option on the motor.
Yeah.
I like to lay a track, but most of the fisheries I've got, my runs are all preloaded in there. I can go to my tracks and I can just click on my buttons and it takes me along my previous track. So I fish, y'all hear me talk about a lot. I fish with precision. If fish are out on the flat, I'll just set up on them and fish, and you don't have to have precision. But a lot of the times they're not. They're setting up on structure. They're in the channel. They're on points. I think being able to hit them with precision is probably the biggest game changer for me. Going from catching, a good one here and there to now really being able to hammer them.
That's it. That's it. Chris, you see what Micah's got there? I didn't know where he's he has found, there you got, he's found himself using nothing but the trolling motor and drift sock.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing. So here's a scenario that I'll use. So like, let's say you got a big front that's hitting. Let's say it's a north front, and it's been blowing out of the north a while, and you're looking for fish, and you guys that are really know your graph, you use your graph to go find the fish. So you're looking for fish. You can't find the fish except for they're lined up on a windblown shoreline. Well, in years past, we would anchor that. I mean, that was the only way to fish it.
Yeah.
Now I'll spot lock into the wind, throw everything out the back. I'll even put planer boards on and let them kind of just pull out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just spot lock on that ledge. And I use that when that scenario pops up. Now, it's not all the time, but it is a different way to use them, and it's highly effective. So, guys, if you come across that scenario, give it a shot. You don't even have to drop an anchor. Just spot lock. I get real close to shore, and then I'll pull my boards out.
Yeah. I can promise you
that over the top of them.
You'll save a lot on your back by just spot locking. I promise you. Doing away with your anchors.
That's for sure. But it also works, for instance, let's say, all right, here's the scenario. Last early winter, we had a west front hitting, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The only fish I could find were piled into this deep hole that was right up against the dam. And it was a fairly large hole. So I started on one side of the hole, pointed into the wind, and drug. And once I got everything spread out over the hole, I just spot locked over it and just hammered big fish after big fish after big fish. Before I would have anchored that, but now it's like, okay, I could sit here and mess with these anchors and take me 15 minutes to get set up, or I can just put out my boards and it's, it takes me about 5-6 minutes. I'm not breaking my back.
That's it.
If I want to leave, I reel up, I'm out of there.
Chris, you bring up a good scenario. Me and you fish, a lot in a lot of different ways. And our big, what we call the Great Pee River here locally, we've got a lot of brush piles under the water, on top of water. A lot of the places I like to go fish, we got that little bit of that current. I can pull my boat up over the top, spotlight just on the other side of that brush pile, and pull my poles close to it on the other side. And like you said, put your planer boards out and let the current just basically take them and spray them out. So that way I'm covering that brush pile real close. And I've even got some poles, in the brush pile itself. So that works real well, man.
Vess says he uses talents and he's not throwing that iron anymore. So, yeah, those talons are nice. And, I'd love to have a set too. I use just a shallow water anchor, a anchor pin. I got one in the front and one in the back. I just pin them, and it takes me all of about 30 seconds to anchor up in 6-7 foot or less. So,
well, I've been wanting to get some of those to put on mine, man. But I tell you,
I have too. But I drag so much out the back. I'm just wondering what all that. I got a lot going on back there.
That's it. And I'm always I got my holders on the back and stuff. I just don't want nothing in my way. I know a lot of people say, well, just throw around, but I'm just that type. I like having, clear view and just too much going on in the back. What's up, Rustic? How you doing, buddy?
So Eagle Eye says he never thought about pulling boards out and spot locking on a ledger point. It works. It works. Some guys will be like, man, this front's hitting, and there's not there's. He's like, they're like, I'm finding these fish. They're on this rocky point, but it's just there's the rollers are coming in. I can't anchor on them. I'm like, spot lock them.
Yep.
And if your spot lock will hold, you can fish it that way. So try it, man. That's a great scenario. I probably break that out of the tool shed about 3 or 4 times a year. If I didn't have that spot lock, I probably would just give up and go home. And I've hammered them that way. So Roger says multiple drift socks will also give you a lot of options for boat control. And that's definitely for certain. I probably carry more drift socks than anyone I know. I've got at least let's see, I've got carry 3 to 254s, a 60, carry 2 or 378s, and a 10-foot Easterland. So, and I use them all depending on what the water, the wind and what I'm trying to do. And, so I agree, Roger, having multiple drift socks. I'm the type who likes to go pretty slow when I drag. And if you got big wind, most guys don't have big enough sock to slow them down. I will use the trolling motor, turn it around backwards, and use that to slow me down another 0.1, 0.2, or whatever.
Yeah, I do that quite a bit myself, Chris. It helps out a lot. If I'm starting going too fast, I got that wind kind of pushing a little bit more than I want, and I want to control that. Spotlight on me, drag all the time. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. So I'll use that method, for instance, in the spring. Late spring, our fish move out of the shallows and they go out onto these points. Sand bass the sand bass that haven't made their runs up into the creeks and rivers will spawn out on the points. Catfish get out on those points and eat their eggs. It's mostly an eater bite, but there's some decent fish with them sometimes too. And I'll start shallow with my nose into the wind, and I'll literally cast my baits up onto shore, and then I'll get my trolling motor and start dragging me out onto the point. And there's generally going to be 1 or 2 sweet spots on every point in that time of year that you're just going to just hammer them. Yep. So when you get on that sweet spot, you hit that spot lock until every rod will be going down. You'll have a fish on every freaking one of them when you get in that sweet spot. So I'll reel them up. I'll catch 10 fish, and then, I'll do the same thing. I'll redeploy. Now, it's a lot of work, but it is fun fishing that way, and it's very effective. So
that's for sure.
Rustic, what's up, buddy? Dwayne, what's up, man? One of my local boys. Welcome in. So there are a million different techniques that probably open you up with these smart trolling motors. And I certainly don't know them all. I've had that mine for, I probably my newest one with the iPilot Link. I think I've had it for 8 years. I'm on my second one. I had the old Terra first, and it gave me nothing but problems. I got the Terrova now. And it's been great.
I tell you, man, I don't know, you could go fishing without one and stuff, but I use that thing every single time we go, man. And I tell you, so many tricks, so many techniques, that you can do with a trolling motor. It's just unbelievable. And guys, anybody in chat, if y'all want to add to the subject, please feel free, man. We'll throw it out there.
Jeff said he got his PB 43-pounder this past week. So congrats, buddy.
Man. Congratulations, buddy.
Those are fun to catch. No doubt. once you get up into that 40-pound class, they just got a little something different for you.
I'm about ready to hit that 100-pound class. I'm ready.
Rustic says the Christmas carolers have stopped in front of the house. Be right back.
Oh, Lord. Man, you don't see that too much anymore.
Animal says Dave's going to go throw rocks at him. So, I know we fished Saturday, or was it Sunday? Sunday. I think we fished Sunday, and we had a decent wind in the morning for about 2 hours, and before I got to the lake, I noticed some white chewed up crap in the floor of my boat. I'm like, what the hell is going on in this boat? And the rod holders that are in the gunnels, they have like a flush insert you can put rods into your gunnels, and you can put 3 on each side of the boat. And I noticed they were freaking routed out. And I'm like, oh shit, freaking rat.
Yep.
So I'm like, oh God, I wonder what he chewed up. Hopefully it's not ignition cables and engine stuff. And got to the lake, turned on the graph. The map worked. Temperature didn't. No side image, nothing.
Oh.
I'm like, instantly I thought, that fucking rat. I guess we're fishing blind today. So I just went off instinct, and I was kind of relieved once I got over the initial, because I've had to replace those from time to time when you hit a stump or something. I already know it's like $275. I'm like, okay, I can get over that. $275. So we got to the lake, and I'm thinking, well, at least I don't got to go look around for fish.
That's it.
And so we're just gonna go old school and fish, the way I used to. And first spot, we started catching fish immediately, and we did well until the wind died. And I think we got 230s and 320s, and then the wind crapped out, and so did the bite. So
yeah, I was about to say, man, I've seen some pictures, man. Y'all look like y'all were having
we missed our best fish. It was weird bite. When you get one of those that just grabs it as you're dragging by, there's no shaking, there's no move, no tail whipping, no nothing. You know what he did? He just inhaled the bait, and he's bit it, and he's holding on to it, and it was a giant. And I cranked down on it, gone. We had another one that just hit, and the rod tip was in the water.
Yeah.
And I went to crank down, and it was gone. So I know both of those were our best. They're just when they do stuff like that, it's different.
I know
class of fish, and we missed them. So that's fishing.
Yeah, myself and Jeremy was fishing a tournament, Jeremy JTC there in Santee Saturday morning, and we had a rod on the side of the boat, buried it, and I had it within about 5 feet of the boat, man, and it just off.
Yeah, usually when you got one that just puts the rod tip in the water, it's close to 50.
Yeah.
So I know it was a giant. I don't, until you see the fish, you never know what you got. I've had 30s that did the same thing, but it's not typical behavior of a 30.
Yeah.
It felt like something bigger, and I guess we'll never know. That's the way it goes, man. Those big ones got tricks, so
that's it. Rustic, I saw your question, buddy. Did I retire from fishing? No. I've been doing some tournament fishing, but with everything that's been going on with Rebecca, we haven't done no YouTube. She hasn't been on the boat in quite a while. So we haven't done no videos or nothing. And plus now running not one, but 2 businesses and working a full-time job. It's been busy, but we were just talking to Chris before the show. So hopefully after the first year, we're going to actually try to get some more content made, get back out there on the water, do some pleasure fishing, and hopefully we can get Rebecca back out there real soon.
So I got a fancy new drone for Christmas. It lasted about 5 minutes, and that thing hit the lake and sank.
Chris, I sit there first thing pop up, I know Chris put some floaties on that thing. Chris said,
No,
nope.
I didn't. I thought it was going to be easy. It's not. I freaking crashed that thing in the lake. It's gone.
Dude, I've yet to fly one of them things and not hit a house or something.
Oh, man. This one's real smart, but there was a dummy driving it. So JP got him a new PB sturgeon last Sunday, and it looked to be about 100 pounds. So congrats, buddy.
Yes, congratulations.
Wish we had those around here. That'd be cool to catch.
And guys, if y'all have any questions for myself or Chris, feel free. Let's throw it out there, and if it's something we can help you with or try to help you with, let us know.
When you Lavon, so I was thinking about maybe hitting Lavon Saturday. We got rain Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If I do fish it, our fish haven't gone deep yet, so it's not really time where you can really go just lay it to them guaranteed. We need a big front to hit. Our water temp's 54, and normally that would be enough, but this year has been a weird year. We haven't had any real major cold fronts to group the fish up, so it's been a slow cool down. Our lakes have mixed. Everything's really scattered. Our big bait is not grouped up yet, which is weird. At 52 degrees or whatever the lake was, it should be grouped up good, but fish are still anywhere from 2 to 30 feet here. So, as far as finding the fish, you can find them scattered, but as far as targeting giants, it's kind of just luck right now. You just kind of got to go across one. You're not really going to go find the mother lode. You got to get in the right area, and you just got to grind, and hopefully you get one or two. And we missed both of ours Saturday, or we'd have had a great day. Ended up, I've had nightmares about it, So my buddy's like, man, you just can't let this crap go. I wish I could, man. I wish I could. I'm not that type of angler. I let the ones that got away bother me.
Did you see what Roger has said, Chris, about for the trolling motors, with the spray freezing up and everything, using double D40?
Yeah, that's a good tip right there. We did have one trip where it was really cold, and my shaft had frost on it, and it gave me problems. So that's a good tip there, Roger. Appreciate that.
And Chris, I don't know myself. I mean, how often do you take your prop off and check everything?
Never. My prop's been on there I don't even know. This trolling motor I got now is 3 or 4 years old.
I was surprised.
The only time my prop's coming off is when I've torn that thing up, and he's like, "You're gonna need a new prop."
I actually just took mine off for the giggles the other day, and actually, I was surprised at how much, I'm gonna blame it on Rebecca, line was in the trolling motor from brim fishing. So we had quite a bit in there. So it's a good idea every now and then to check that thing.
Clayton says he hates when his shaft gets frost on it.
I know what you mean, brother.
So what are your thoughts on pulling into the wind using your trolling motor versus going with the wind? And I'll tell you right now, I got a lot of experience because I got guys that constantly say, I can't get my planer bores to spread. I'm like, so they go against the wind and they fish the exact run that I'm fishing, it is almost every weekend.
Yeah.
They'll fish the same run as me. By the time we meet in the middle, I've got 10 fish and they got one. And it is almost every freaking week. And I tell them, when there's wind, fish feed into the wind. They
Yeah.
orient into the wind. They want the bait coming to them. And if it's a very light wind, I don't believe it matters because I can look on my graph and tell the fish are all like this. But when you got wind, they are all like this. They are all pointed. Every one of them is pointed the same direction. And so I think it makes a huge difference pulling with the wind. And so I'll do it both ways, but I pull into the wind on light wind days when I see what the fish on my graph are doing.
Yeah.
And I wish my buddy Jeff was in here. He could tell you because he pulls into the wind and he fishes around me. Anytime I'm on the lake, he's going to fish next to me. But he fishes the opposite way, and his production is way below mine. Fishing the exact same run.
I always love fishing into the wind. Always love it. The planer boards spread out so much better. I mean, it's just like you said, man. Just going against that wind, it does it for me.
Yeah, I've gone too many times. Yeah. Now I've been dragging this. I've really been dragging the way that I drag for about 8 years, and I've done it both ways on the same day. And I'll drag with the wind. I'll hammer them. I'm just lazy, and I'm like, I'm just going to turn around and go back, and I'll catch like 2. And I'm like, well, all right, now I'm going to turn around and go with the wind, and I'll hammer them again. Yeah. So, and I've done that a lot. Me and Daniel talked about this. He's the same way. He prefers to go with the wind. That gives the bait presentation a natural action. And we talk about presentation being probably the most overlooked thing by regular, I'll say just like an average angler. The high-end guy, presentation is crucial. Just the way you trim that bait instead of just chunking it up, make it look natural. We had Epic Catfish on, and he's like, yeah, I've caught them on chunks, but how many chunks of bait have you ever seen floating in a fishery? It's just not natural to have a chunk floating. It's a whole fish. So even if you have to use if you're trimming down your bait, give it a shape of a fish when you cut it instead of just chopping it. Now, I think if you're on anchor, it doesn't matter. I don't believe it matters, but I think dragging, it makes a big difference, the presentation.
Well, Chris, I'm kind of picky about that. I've got, when I do my bait, there's certain ways I do it. And if it's not that way, it just drives me insane. Like I told you, some of the techniques that we do, I like having it where, it sits there and it's like having them wings, just constantly moving.
Gives a little action.
Yeah. Yeah.
You may get a reactionary bite, the way I look at it.
That's it.
Like a cat, you dangle the yarn.
That's it.
In front of it. And it's like, it's just relaxing. You dangle the yarn, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm going to get that. I think it's the same thing with a fish.
And I will have a chunk, 1 or 2 here and there, but I've always, I got to have that bait just looking like it's lively.
Yeah, I agree. I think that helps. Some days it probably doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But certain days it makes all the difference.
Yeah. And everybody has their own techniques with it and everything. It's just something that I pay close attention to. I just, like you said, when you go to cut that bait up, I don't just chunk and throw it out. I just pay close attention to it. It's just something that I do.
I agree. I'll notice like on a big bait day. All right. So you don't have enough big baits to really put them on everything.
Yeah.
So you're all right. So I'm going to put on this one, I've got a big bait. I'm going to chop the head off. I'm going to put the body piece on. I'm going to fillet that thing. I'm going to put the fillet on one. On this other one, I got a whole fish. with just the tail cut off and maybe a fillet down one side. I can't tell you how much higher percentage I'm catching big fish off the whole fish. Some days they like the fillet because it's fluttering, but the majority of the time, our biggest, baddest fish are coming off the entire fish.
And that goes like I told you with the trolling motor, going back to the trolling motor. Just different things I do with different speeds and different techniques works with my bait.
That's why I think dragging, when you're using that trolling motor to drag, you're presenting the bait in a natural manner as a fit. So, we're all trying to catch the biggest fish in the lake. Extreme trophy fishing, he just caught a lake record this past weekend. When you're going for the biggest fish in the lake and you're dragging, you're generally going to put some big ass baits on there, and they don't always catch all the fish, but over time, our biggest, baddest fish have all come off a big old bait.
Yeah.
I've caught some giants off a little piece, but it was a day where there was messed up wind. It was like a, east wind day. It was bluebird sky. Fish were laying in the mud. But I do believe dragging, you want to have more of a natural presentation, which is a fish swimming by and you're dragging across a piece of ambush structure. So when you add all those things together, that's what that trolling motor is going to do for you. It allows you to present your baits in a natural manner with precision.
That's for sure.
Clayton says his favorite part of the carp for bait is the knee. Okay. All right. When I use carp, I generally try to use fillets and I cut them to look like a fish. So, Milton, our Carolina Lake Weights guide staff, he says he uses the bait you talking about now, whole bait filleted on one side, and that's the way I do it. That's my favorite bait, and if I could do that, I would put that on at least 4 of my longest planers. Those are going to catch the apex fish in your lake. And when I'm talking big baits, mine are about 10 inches. I put a stinger in the nose. I put one behind the dorsal fin. So in the winter, just my 2 cents here in North Carolina, I have done a lot better in cold water with smaller baits drifting, just my 2 cents. So here, I hear that a lot. And some of our guides are out there that they'll say, oh, yeah, they eat peanuts too. And big fish will eat smaller baits. But in the winter, here's what a big catfish is doing in the winter. He's feeding longer. He's feeding heavier. He is slower, but so are all the prey and so are all the game fish. So when he's out there feeding, he doesn't want to eat a bunch of small ones. And when they throw up on my deck, it's generally bigger baits that the bigger fish are throwing up. And the bigger the fish, the bigger the bait that they're throwing up. And when I'm catching giants and I'm really hammering a bunch of them, I got small baits on. I also got giant baits on. Over an extended period of time, all of our bigger fish, the majority, 9 out of 10 trips are coming on those bigger baits. It has to be some extenuating type circumstance where that smaller bait outfishes the big baits. The difference when you go big is you're eliminating the smaller fish. So instead of catching a bunch of eaters, which a lot of my guide buddies got to catch some eaters because people want them, I don't. I typically don't catch many eaters. I go big, but we do catch a ton of big fish on them. So
now, Chris, let me ask you this. I don't know. is he doing a lot of the anchoring with smaller baits or dragging with smaller baits?
I think anchoring you can go smaller. You don't
Yeah.
have to have a big bait, but
Yeah.
when you're dragging, you're bringing your bait to a big fish who's set up on ambush structure. They're not all out just swimming around feeding hard. They're the biggest, baddest fish. They orient to a certain piece of real estate and they don't move far from it. They sit there because they know the bait's coming to them. They don't even have to move. When it comes by, they suck it in and eat it. And it's an easy meal. They're lazy.
Yeah.
That's from my experience. The biggest fish in the lake are very lazy eaters. They like to find a really good spot and just sit there. So.
Yeah, because when I'm anchoring, I am actually using smaller baits than sometimes when I'm dragging, I'm using a mixture.
Yeah. So Robert McDaniel says, you ever try to run contour lines with the auto setting on the Helix? So I don't really run the contour settings because I stopped using the map that comes with the Helix. I run a Navionics map, so contours don't work on that. But I generally don't follow the contour. I use just my go-to feature, and I run them that way. But that's just how I do it, Robert. I do it manually with the go-to feature. So I find a ledge. If I want to hit a ledge, right, and the wind's blowing this way, but the ledge is running this way, right, I'm going to use my go-to feature to keep me along that ledge. And as long as I'll go up ahead of myself, hit the go-to, I can follow that ledge the whole way. My trolling motor will keep me on that ledge. I can put some baits off into the deeper water. I can put some right on the ledge, and I can have some up on top of the ledge. And that's a very effective way of fishing when the fish are actively feeding on a ledge. And when the certain wind conditions, that's how they want to be. They line up right on that ledge. And if you aren't on it, you ain't catching them. So Donovan says his biggest fish come off a giant cut piece of drum, probably 8x4 chunk. And I'll tell you, Donovan, this time of year, that drum becomes a really good bait. Drum group up as thick as any fish in the lake right now. They are just, I mean, when you find them, they are piled 8 feet thick by the gazillions. One throw of the net, you got 30 or 40 of them. And when that happens, those big blues start to like to key in on them. 2 biggest fish out of our lake come off drum. It was this time last year. I think it was, let's see, it was December 31st. It was New Year's Eve. And we were using big chunks of drum, and we were hitting contours like that. And they come off the bottom of a point where the channel kind of ran right up next to the point. And we were using whole drum, probably 8 to 10 inch drum, tail chopped off, stinger rigged. And we broke the lake record 2 times that day. Both of them come off a small drum, which is, about a pound or pound and a half drum. So,
Chris, that question, chasing fish. Do you only use the trolling motor when drifting into the wind? Myself, yes. When I'm going into the wind, I only use my trolling motor myself.
So when here's what I'll put out my smallest sock. When I'm going into the wind, I've got a smaller sock, and I do that just to keep my back end from doing this. I got a big bay boat, and it's got a T-top on it, which is a sail, and it just wants to, the back end just wants to do this. I'll put that sock out, which keeps me pointed exactly where I want to go. So,
and you took it right out of my mouth, Chris. I mean, that it goes a lot, by what boat you got. Also, my boat personally, I don't have to run one because with the pods and everything I have on the back and stuff, it actually does. I can control if I'm gonna do something like that. I can control by turning my motor my big motor. Just
I'll do that as well too, because sometimes it just the boat ride's weird, and that little extra deal because the wind's coming, blowing in through the back, and it wants to just ride a little bit weird, and you can do that to get your boards to plane out. Another thing I'll do is I'll speed up my trolling motor. I'll give my rods, I'll lift the rod tip up, I'll give them a couple of cranks, get that line from my planer board to my rod out of the water where that planer board will stop pulling like this. As soon as you get that line out of the water, it starts instead of pulling like this, right? And their wind's blowing, you pull that line up out of the water, your planer board will start pulling straight again and it'll pull on out.
Yeah.
And then, you just, once you get them where they need to be, you can slow down and they'll pretty much stay there. So that's a trick I use to get the boards to pull. Cause when you're going with the wind, it's going to mess up one side of the boards usually.
Yeah.
And my buddy's like, I just can't get them to pull straight. I'm like, there's tricks. I mean, there's tricks to get, to get them to pull better.
Eagle, myself on my drift sock behind my motor, my drift sock is only probably 3 to 4 foot behind my big motor.
So Chasing Fish says, do you only use the trolling motor when drifting into the wind? No, well, I use the trolling motor all the time. And if I've got a real light wind day and I'm going with the wind, normally it does. I'll go with or against on a light wind day. If I'm going with the wind, I like to use my trolling motor to keep me pointed in a certain direction. If you catch a big fish on a light wind day, you'll look up and you'll have everything he'll turn the whole boat around.
Yeah.
So you catch a 40, 50 pounder and you're dealing with the fish and you look up and you're like, damn, the planer boards are next to the side of the boat, all of them, and everything's tangled. So I use the trolling motor to keep me pointed in the right direction, but I also use it for precision. So if there's a secondary channel or some type of channel that's silted in, I'll try to stay close to where that old channel is, because the old timers taught me even though you don't see it on your graph, a contour from that old channel, the fish know it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest fish have just used that old channel as their highway to travel for so long that if you'll try to orient and stay a little bit closer to that channel, in the long run, it pays off. Now, I don't always fish the channel, but I do fish it quite a bit. So, yeah, Milton says he uses it to control his direction. And that's for certain. It's very rare that I'm just going with the wind. I'm usually headed towards something. It could be a windblown cove, a pocket, somewhere where that wind's heading to, or it could be the old channel that's running this way. The wind's blowing this way. The channel's running that way. I'm trying to stay on that channel.
Yeah.
And then if there's any type of anything that's intersecting that channel, or if there's a piece of structure that's right next to it, I want to be able to hit that, because over time you'll start seeing anything that's a little different that's next to that channel. It could be a point, it could be the bend, it could be just a stump. But over time you'll start seeing, okay, when I get by that damn stump, I nail a big one.
Yeah.
When I get close to that ledge over there, bang, I get one. And it's not all the time, but more and more often, when you start getting multiple things that are close to that channel, that's where your biggest fish are going to be.
That is 100% true, brother.
How far out do y'all have the drift socks behind the boat? Closer or further is better. So if it's too close, I got a big boat, and the sock won't hold the boat well because of the wash behind the boat. So I'd say I got a harness on mine. I got a Y harness because I generally like to run one sock. And I started doing the one sock deal about 8 years ago because I lost a couple of my best fish I've ever caught into my socks. And I thought, oh, I got 2 socks. And when these big fish want to try to circle the boat, you got to go under 2 socks. One sock is one thing. Going around 2 of them is different. So I started using a Y harness, which one of my guide buddies like, yeah, try the Y harness. So put a Y harness, which is what you use to attach an inner tube out the back of your boat. Put the Y harness, and then I've got just a regular drift sock harness that's probably, I don't know, 6 foot, and then the drift sock. So mine's probably close to 10 feet behind the boat.
And see, I have mine a lot closer than that myself. You know, I'm using.
You got a flat bottom, pretty much boat though. I got a giant deep. I got a heavy bay boat.
That's it. And I'm also using a drift sock that's made for a pontoon boat. A 24.
Yeah, you use those Easterlands.
Yes. Yeah. And when you have it, it opens up so wide. I can control the speed because they open in the center. You know, I can control how much water that goes through, but it opens up so wide, I'm able to run mine, you know, only 3 to 4, 5 feet behind the boat like that. And like I said, it has, like you said, it has a lot to do with what style boats you have.
Yeah, every boat's different for sure. Yeah. And mine has to be back because there's like a jet wash of turbulence that comes out the back of my boat. Mine's not super deep, but it's deeper than your boat. Your boat's floating right on the top.
Yes, yeah.
And mine kind of buoys down once you stop it, because I got a hybrid bay, which I can take it out into, you know, blue water as long as it's not too crazy rough. But so when mine stops, it, you know, and it's got the Carolina flare, so it's made for little bigger water. But yeah, every boat's different as far as what you're going to need for those drift socks. So
yeah, so I would definitely read into what the socks call. You know, you can look up a diagram and see what boat, you know, what size boats, what socks you're going to need and everything. So you might try 2 or 3 different socks before you find the right one that you like.
So the socks I use when I got a light wind day, I use those just cheap blue Lindy Fisherman 54s. I probably use those on very light wind. When the wind's, I'd say 7-8 miles an hour or less, I'll use the 54. I do have a 36 up for a no wind day. On a no wind day, I can probably get away with not out using any sock. But I use the 54s for probably 7-8 mile an hour wind or less. And then I use the 78s probably more than anything. I use those. Mine are the old Cabela's 78, and they're so good. They slow you down. They open up instantly. You just can't get them anymore. So when Bass Pro bought Cabela's, I bought a whole case of them. I got a case of them in my barn, and all my buddies were like, man, how much you sell me one of them for? I'm like, you ain't getting none of these, man. I got enough socks to last me for 20 years. So
I know we actually had our Saturday morning. We actually had mine to get hung up on a stump. We were up in a stump field.
Yeah, you know you're shallow when your drift socks are getting hung on stumps. My buddy's like, man, we're shallow. He's like, we ain't losing no rigs, but we keep getting hung on these stumps. He's like, you know, you got some good dragging weights whenever it's your drift sock hanging you up and not your dragging weight.
That's it. Yeah, we were sitting there, we'd come along, and all of a sudden that thing just stopped the boat. And I said, oh, crap. Look back there, and the stump had the, you know, the drift sock all messed up back there. So we ended up having to cut it and get it back and fix it back and go back to dragging. Because I believe we were actually about, don't hold me to this, about 4 to 5 foot range, somewhere up in there. Sometimes a little bit shallower. So we were definitely up in some stumps.
Yep. I like fishing up in there. Wouldn't used to have done that. As you lose a lot of tackle, but
yeah.
Carolina lake weights can handle stump fields.
That's right. Hey, the 5-gallon bucket I use a lot still to this day in the rivers to help with a little bit of the swaying. So the 5-gallon buckets work very well for that.
Yeah, when I first started dragging, I don't even know. I won't age myself, but it's been a long time. And it guys, they didn't even really have drift socks. Guys used 5-gallon buckets, or they made them out of tarps. And it wasn't until guys started using saltwater gear for catfishing where the catfishing game finally started catching up. Before that, it was just redneck, rigging. Everything was redneck rigged.
Yeah.
The whole boat was rigged that way. So, Tienda, I do fish some tournaments. This past year, we probably fished 4 or 5. We did well. We pretty much won every one besides the last one we fished, and we were on fish. I just couldn't get the big ones to bite. So, if you want to join some, I'd be happy to team up with you sometime, buddy. Billy, what's up, man? We got Billy Beaver in the house. Welcome in, Billy. Hope your eyes are healed up and ready to catch some fish. So another feature I use quite a bit is the cruise control. And what the cruise control does is keeps you at a certain speed. So if I'm trying to go 0.4, I can have my trolling. I can put on a bigger sock than I need, and then I can put my trolling motor on cruise control at 0.4, and it'll pull me at 0.4 and keep me there. Now, if the fish aren't biting, I'll bump it up to 0.5, 0.6, and let it pull me at that for a little while, and see if that does anything, and then slow it back down to 0.4. This time of year, I'm going 0.4.
Yeah, I'm in between 0.4 to 0.6, depending on what area I'm in. I have used it the other day. I was actually almost at 0.8.
Yeah, my buddy Daniel Armstrong, he's going a mile an hour, freaking hammering them. I'm like, I've never done that. I've never gone a mile an hour. Now, maybe when I was first doing it and I didn't have the right sock and it's like a storm hitting, we didn't catch nothing.
Yeah, 0.8, Chris. Actually, 0.8 has paid off for me in the past. And like I said, it depends on what's the situation.
I've caught them at 0.7.
Yeah.
I think the fish need to be fairly active and wanting to go get it.
That's it. And
I'm willing to go a little faster if the lake's stirred up and it's windy. Yeah. The slower the wind goes, the slower I'm generally going.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, it depends on what time of day also. I mean, is the water, it's the fish kind of getting a little bit more active. I mean, it's not frozen first thing, frozen first thing in the morning. They're a little bit more, moving around. So all depends on what.
As far as the cold water, fish are active in cold water. My best days when they're the most active, it's generally super cold. The weather when I get to the lakes in the 20s, I throw down, and before I can even get the second rod out, the first one's just stripping, just takes off like a rocket and it's freezing outside. So, and I'm dragging. Guys say, can you drag when this water's cold? I'm like, hell yeah, you can drag. That's some of the best fishing.
Oh, yeah.
So you just slow down your presentation. You go really big on your baits. You're going to be surprised at what you hook into. You're probably going to catch the biggest fish of your life.
Chris, there's a question. Where do we fish at?
Well, this weekend, I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to fish. I'm leaving my lake. Now, it's supposed to rain Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't know how much rain we're going to get out of that. That makes me wonder which lake I should go to. I need to be able to get to shallow water if it rains a lot. If it doesn't rain a lot, I need to be able to have some areas in mid-depth that are clear of timber. So when I'm looking for my lakes, if I see it's going to rain heavy, I'm going to be able. I want a lake that I can go fish shallow.
Yeah.
I want to go fish the runoff. But if it's going to be a light rain, I don't want to fish shallow. I want to be able to fish a lake that's got a lot of area that's mid-depth that I can drag.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now, I'm not sure. I may go fish Levon. I got a lot of good areas in mid-depth there. If I got to fish shallow, I may stay home. I had a buddy that did well on Tawakoni. I've seen some of my guide buddies that have been doing well on Tawakoni this last week. So, hell, maybe I'll go hit Tawakoni. I don't know.
Actually, if I can get my boat back up, we blew the seals out of the steering this past weekend on Santee Cooper. If I can get it back, I think we might hit maybe the intercoastal waterway. We got close to 7 to 8 inches of rain. We had a storm come through this past weekend, and the runoffs in some of the swamps has got a lot of the water coming to the river now. So I might try to go hit some of those runoffs myself, because I know the catfish are really going to be sitting in those areas heavy. But I know a lot of the river right now is basically it's flooded.
Tienda says, what batteries do y'all use for the trolling motors? I use the Blue Tops, Optimas. They're good because they last a long time. That's the reason I use them. They're more expensive, but they'll last you for 5 years almost.
Yeah.
I've tried the cheaper ones, and hell, you can't hardly get a year out of them. And I hate having to change all that crap out. So
yes, especially when you're running 6 trolling motors. I've got 6 trolling motor batteries.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I got 3 trolling motor batteries and 2 starting batteries.
That's crazy.
And another spare battery hooked up, so I've got 6 on my boat.
I do hit the shallow waters after a big rain. It's got to be a big rain. I want enough. There's got to be quite a bit of flow coming into the lake. And I learned that from the old timers. That they'll tell you it don't matter where the fish have been. If you get a big rain, throw everything out the window and get up into that muddy water that's flowing in. Doesn't matter if it's spring, summer, winter, one of these guys that was in here earlier, Daniel Armstrong, he's one of the best anglers I've ever met. And I learned that from him. He's like, anytime there's a big rain event, and it needs to be enough where there's flow coming into the fishery. He's like, throw everything out the window. Doesn't matter how well you've been doing out deep. Leave and go up into that muddy water, and it's a guarantee. Fish will be there. They just like that flow coming in, even when the water temperature is 38 degrees. They'll be up in 2 feet of water. So go shallow when you get a big rain. Go shallow. Don't just go shallow. Get up into that muddy water that's flowing into the fishery. That's where they like to be. So, Lad says, wish we could get some rain. We got 3 days coming, and I'd like the rain too, except not during trophy catfish season on the days I'm fishing. I don't want rain. I want to be able to go fish fun and free all day long. I'll still fish in the rain. It's just not as fun.
I actually think they're talking, going back, double check the weather. We're actually supposed to be getting some more rain probably around Christmas or the day after Christmas, we got 4 days of rain coming up. So we, like I said, we just got all that rain this past weekend, and now they're calling right after Christmas, probably for another 4 days of rain.
Yep. It's that time of year, man. We get these big fronts. Sometimes they bring some rain. So our lakes need it. I hate it that it's the day that I'm going to be fishing. So
I'm just going to have to get wet, brother. If I'm going, I'm going.
yeah, luckily I got a T-top I can kind of tuck under, and stay somewhat dry. It's just if we get a huge rain, it just screws up what I really want to do, which is go drag mid-depth.
Yes.
And I'll have to look more. I got to put this damn transducer on my boat before I go. Billy says he's got 3 different socks and he pairs smaller ones different ways. That's the way I do it too, Billy.
Yeah.
And he's wrapped them up in the motor too. And
I've done that myself.
I've done that as well. Got to do the old trim up and dangle off the back.
Dangle off the back. Fall in. I've done that. Oh man, this is gonna be a good day.
So what else? What other features can we talk about? I use the go-to button. I probably said a little bit about that. That's the really smart trolling motor. It's the iPilot Link. So what that does is you got your graph. You see something interesting on your graph, and you can hit go-to. So if let's say you got a river channel, let's say you got a Y in the river channel. And then it comes up here and it does it to bend and twist and then goes over here to this point. Well, I can hit go to. And when I hit go to, I want to hit that Y because I know the Y is like a home. It's like a really good spot on any fishery where those 2 channels intersect. So I want to hit that Y. Then when that channel bends around, I want to go right over that S bend where I get multiple shots going across that channel. And then as that thing curves around up towards that point or ledge, I want to go hit that as well. So I'll hit go to, and that boat is going to, that trolling motor is going to take me through that track and hit those sweet spots with precision. And, 10 years ago, I just would try to judge the wind. Okay, I'm looking at the waves. They're coming through this way. If I come out here about 150 yards from my target area, then I'll set up out here and I'll hopefully blow across it all.
Yeah.
And sometimes you hit it, sometimes you don't. You're not going to hit all those spots because the wind's just takes you through there. Hopefully you can hit 1 or 2 and you'll nail one. You'll get a good fish. But that smart trolling motor, instead of getting through there 1 time or 2 times, now you're hitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 chances instead of 1 or 2. So
that's it.
So yes, Brandon, the GPS will go haywire around bridges. I've had mine slam me into the bridge. I've almost gone into the lake when that thing smacked me up against the bridge. I've had that thing when I got under a bridge where it freaking took off like a rocket on 10.
Yeah.
Like threw me back in the boat and like, oh my God, it's like panic mode. Hurry up and get this thing turned before it slams me into another bridge column and where you have to break out another 1,000.
That's our luck.
So I've learned when I'm trying to, because I do go to the bridge a lot to get big baits. I went there last weekend. My buddy, so I'm looking for my big baits in the deeper holes. So I'm in mid depth. The deeper holes are like 30, 35 feet deep. I'm trying to get bait. I'm spot locking. I see there's stuff down there, but it's just drum. I'm like, okay, I want to get some other stuff. So I know that when you go to the bridge columns, you can get big baits. But the problem with getting underneath the bridge is what Brandon said. You lose your boat. Your boat's doing weird crap. So I get them up. I get out on the edge, just outside where I still got GPS signal, and then I'll just throw on those outside columns. I've almost stopped going into the inside columns completely, unless that's where the bait is, and I just got to go do it. So I've never not gotten bait. My buddy was over there throwing his net probably 30 times. I'm like, I'm going to go to the bridge. I'll call you here in about 20 minutes after I got bait. And, because there's always big bait at the bridge columns. It's just the problem is there's crappie condos. So scan them real good before you throw your fancy net on a crappie condo, because they weight those condos down with cinder blocks and concrete filled buckets, and you lose your net when you hit one. So,
well, Chris, you got some big plans coming up for Christmas, brother?
So we always got big plans. So we got to go to my parents' Christmas Eve. We do our house Christmas Day. Then Christmas day after Christmas, we go up to Denison for Alana's dad's side. Alana's mom's side is somewhere falls in between there. I can never keep it all straight. So she tells me where I got to go, and I just show up. So.
Yeah, I think we got something on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. After that, I've got to get back to work, and then I'm on vacation after the 1st. And then I think we're going to try to fish, or I'm going to try to fish every day and get Rebecca back down to Santee Cooper.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Well, if we'll ever get some good cold fronts blow through, maybe the fish will group up good.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But I got a feeling that, when they do, they're really going to pile into certain areas. So
yeah,
I always tell guys, it's crazy as our weather is. This year it's been really steady. It's cool. The water's guys like, man, is the water too warm? Why are the fish doing this? I'm like, we've had just a steady. The temperature's been steady. So even though the water is 52, which fish are turned on, they're just really scattered.
Yeah.
And, you're just getting into a certain area and just smoking them for 2 hours. You got to be lucky if you're going to find that area. You got to put in the time and grind and put together a decent bag of fish.
That's for sure. They've been catching some real nice fish around here, and the water's really cooled off quite a bit, and so the big fish is really starting to pick up quite a bit. So I'm anxious to start doing a lot more fishing. That's for sure.
Yep. Yeah, Jesse Campbell, one of our teammates, smoked him this past weekend. He got him a new PB, 65 pounds. He went to Tawakoni. The lake's been producing pretty good. It used to be our best lake by a long shot, and a 65 was kind of a normal fish. Not normal, but it was your big fish for the day, and it was very frequent to catch one like that. And you'd catch a 65 and maybe a couple of 50s and 5 or 6 40s on a good day. Now, your best day of the year, you might get that 65. You may get a 40. Then you get a few 30s. And that's because guys have just raped that lake, taking the big fish out. But
I tell you what,
I hate to get into all that.
He really caught some nice fish, that's for sure. And congratulations, my friend, on that PB.
Love seeing him do good. That's my guy. I put him on first. Carolina Lakeways is the first person to put him on. He's a friend of mine, and he's just been freaking killing it this year. So love seeing him do good. So Billy says he's been hitting that running water for 60 years. That's what all the old timers, that's who taught me about the running water. They're like, just anytime there's water flowing, coming into the lake, head up into it.
That's for sure.
It
I catch.
serves me pretty well. I've had some epic days up in a foot and a half of water when it's cold out. I just don't. I prefer not to do that, but luckily, most of our winter weather events don't include rain. We have drizzle in the winter, but no real heavy rain. But I believe this next storm is going to have some rain with it. So maybe time to head up shallow. Billy says we're in bad shape here. A lot of people in Texas are in bad shape for the rain. So
I wish I could give y'all some of the rain that we've been getting. I really do.
man, y'all been getting some big rains. 8 inches. That's
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
big one.
we had got all that in one day. There was a lot of flooding going on, man, and we also ended up within probably about 8 miles from where we stay. We had a tornado to come through. So
Yeah, I saw that. That's crazy. So I'd like to say, while I'm thinking about it, I was going to say this at the beginning, but Kevin Parks sent this to my son for Christmas. And Parks planer boards are the planer boards we use. And Kevin Parks is one of the most generous, nice, friendly human beings the planet has ever met, has ever seen. He's really good to me and my son, even though we're just weekend fishing anglers. He just one of the best in the industry. He sent me this.
there you go.
Parks planer boards, Yeti. Just a really cool, generous guy. If y'all need planer boards, Parks planer boards, what I've been using for years. Great planer boards, awesome dude. One of the best in the industry. So head on over to Parks planer boards. If you want them, if you call Kevin when you order them, there's the telephone number. 620-364-6447. Tell Kevin I sent you. He will hook you up with crazy good prices on your planer boards. I mean, better than anywhere you'll see. Any other brand, it don't matter. That he will give you a better price than any of them, and they're great boards. So I wanted to give him a shout out because he's, like I said, he's been freaking awesome to me and my son. So,
well, I want to give a shout out, Chris. Of course, to a lot of our sponsors, our SmackDown Rod Holders, Warrior Energy Drink, of course, Mad Cats. But this week, myself and Rebecca, we were Dell's Tackle.
oh yeah, I was gonna say, I forgot I put this up. I was gonna say congratulations to Jamie Dunn. He's gonna be pro staffing over at Dale's Tackle.
There you go. That's another great partner of ours. I'd like to give him a shout out, man. Not only the hooks, but he's got a lot of tackle over there also.
They carry Carolina Lake weights. I've used Dale's hooks for years. They're good hooks.
Yep. We're gonna be working together on a lot of things. He's probably gonna have our hooks, and we're gonna have their hooks. So we're gonna be doing quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah, I like Dale's hooks. Those Bloodline series, what I've used.
Yep.
I like them. They're kind of a medium wire instead of a heavy. A lot of these hooks are too heavy wire for my liking.
Yes.
For dragging. I think a lot of river guys want this giant, heavy gauged hook, but most of us lake guys that drag, we don't want a heavy gauged hook. It drags your weight down, or drags your bait down.
That's it.
There's Kevin. He's also big into big fish conservation, which I think's awesome. I won't be with any company that's not won't stand up for big fish. I know there's other guys out there they'll they'll sell to anybody, these pay lakes and everything. And, brands I'm with, none of them are down with any of that crap. And they all stand up for big fish. So kudos to Kevin for putting that into his logo.
Yep. And that's one thing we highly believe in here at Carolina Lake Weights also, take your picture, catch them, enjoy it, and release them.
Yeah, if you want to eat one, keep the smaller ones, but turn the big ones loose.
That's it.
If it's 10, we let them swim.
That's right.
So anything else while we can?
Well, I want to say I hope everyone out there, I hope you have a good Christmas. I hope you enjoy your families. You have a safe Christmas. And I want to say from Carolina Lake Weights, myself, Rebecca, I want to say thank you for everything y'all have done for Carolina Lake Weights this year. We're happy to support everybody we support, and I love that everybody that supports us, and we appreciate y'all. And hopefully we can grow and keep growing and keep growing. And Chris, I hope you and your family has a good Christmas, brother. And I want to say thank you for all you do for us also, my friend.
Hey, it's my pleasure, man. We're all family, so yep. I enjoy helping. It just makes you feel good,
That's
Daniel
it.
45 says Chris has a great video of how to clean big catfish. And that's true. I do. I got a video on how to clean big catfish. So
and also
check it out on El Gato Azul TV if you want to know how to clean a big catfish. And it ain't what you think.
And also Operation Vets with Nets, another great partner of ours, man. Always got giving guys a shout out. And knickknacks, bait boards, custom bait boards. Appreciate them.
I'd like to say a big shout out to SmackDown rod holders. They've been showing me a lot of love. Me and my son love being a part of what they're doing. They make some great rod holders. I've enjoyed being a part of that team, or I don't know what you call it over there, but I guess we're a team.
I call them our other family. Our other family. And I talked with them this week, man. They've got some products coming out, Chris. They got that new bait board holder that's coming out that, sits right over the top of the rod holder there, the one, that has the pipe in the back. So I talked with them this week, and my name's on the list to hopefully get one of those as soon as they release them.
I maybe I ought to hit them up. They do me pretty good. So
yeah,
I noticed they have that movable cleat, and I thought that's pretty interesting. I don't have my boat doesn't have that to put on there, but I'm like I could see where that would come in handy, and I like how on the top it says SmackDown.
Yeah, I've actually got one on my boat, man. I can take that thing, that slide, and move it around. Tie the boat off, whatever I want to do. I actually sometimes when I put the top up, instead of where my rod holders are, I can just take that and wrap the little line around it and use it for that.
Daniel, we'd be going live every trip right now, but I just been every week I got a new guy on the boat. I've just been focusing more on helping guys, and I've been focusing more on having fun with my son rather than doing the live streams. But I keep telling myself I'm going to go live. So I'm going to probably go live after Christmas. And I'll start going live probably all the way through March.
And guys, if y'all don't have Carolina Lake Weights on YouTube and TikTok, go over there and check us out. We've got 121 videos on our YouTube page at Carolina Lake Weights, and we have some nice, videos over on TikTok also. And I'm like, Chris, probably somewhere after the first year, we're going to start doing some more lives ourselves.
I just need to do it. I mean, we've been having a good year.
Yeah.
We haven't had any real epic trips because we haven't had the fronts to group the fish up. So we're grinding and we're catching good fish, and it's taken a while to get them. But I'm hoping we'll start getting some cold fronts after New Year's. And I know I looked at the weather forecast. We don't have any in the immediate forecast. So usually by this time of year, they're starting to roll in pretty good. And fishing to really hammer them all day long like that, you got to have some cold fronts coming through. So we need those fronts. We haven't had major fronts hit Texas really. So.
Yep. But brother, that's all for myself, man. Like I said, I just want to thank each and everybody out there. Chat.
Had a great time. We'll be off next week for Christmas. I think we'll take next week off, and then we'll try to figure out what we'll do after that. We're going to keep doing it because I'm having fun, Jamie.
I'm having a good time, brother.
I got some other guys that are interested in coming on. We're looking to get Colton Howell with multi-bar. We're looking to get Kevin Parks with Parks planer boards. So love to get both those guys on. I think multi-bar is probably one of the most innovative products to hit the market in the last, I don't even know. I mean, they're a game changer on my boat. And then Kevin Parks, I think he's one of the best catfish anglers in the country. He's the king of planer boards. I think he'd make a great guest. Both shy guys, so it's just takes me doing some convincing to get them on. So,
and everybody out in chat, if you have any suggestions, anything that you would like to see, please reach out to us. You can reach out to myself or Chris. Let us know, and we can get it lined up and make it happen for the new year.
Yeah, get some guests on. If y'all have any ideas for guests or topics, just let us know. I'm sure we've got a contact to be able to get in touch with just about any catfish angler at this point. So
I'm about ready to, Chris. Also, I see JTC popped back in. I'd like to get the legend down on Santee back up sometime. Yeah. I've been calling him the legend of Santee down there. but yeah,
I'd like to get Casey Nelms on.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he'd be great to talk to. He's the inventor of the Santee drift rig.
He's been
revolutionized catfishing back in the 80s.
He's been fishing a lot of tournaments down there that we fished against him, and boy, I tell you what, he can throw a butt whipping on you sometimes. But my friend, we had a good trip out this. Nice.
Yeah, Daniel, we've been doing. I don't know. I don't even know if I should talk about it because people keep telling me, yeah, you don't even know what a bad trip is. But we've been having just mediocre trips. We'll get a couple 30s and a couple 20s. And to me, that's kind of about what's that's kind of just, I mean, they're fun to catch, but at this point in the game, I'm looking to do better than that. So,
and while we have everybody on here, CLW10, use that code, get you 10% off anything at Carolina Lake Weights also, guys. And thank you for using the 3 ounce. We appreciate you too, Daniel.
Yep, I don't even give out a code anymore.
It's Christmas. Get that order in, and we'll just ship it right out next day.
I think a lot of my guys, they still use my code, but I know there's like I see Rebecca giving her code out a lot on just the advertisement, so I'm like, well,
Chris, everybody in Texas has got your code wrote on the wall. So, but guys, CLW10 get you 10% off. Go check us out, Carolina Lake Weights.
All right. Well, I hope y'all got y'all's Christmas shopping done. So if not, you better hurry up because you're running out of time.
Yep.
And we'll see y'all. I don't even know the date of the next show, but we're going to be off next week. We'll see y'all the week after that. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. It's tank season time, so hopefully everybody gets on some giants over this holiday season. Get out there and go fish. Take some kids fishing. I think you guys need, if you don't have a kid, find somebody who's got a kid, take them and invite the kid. So get them out on the water, go catch some fish, make some memories.
Merry Christmas to everybody out there. And don't forget the real reason for Christmas, guys. Give the man upstairs a lot of thanks, and just keep your family close this season and stay safe.
Merry Christmas. God bless. Tight lines. Azul out.
Later, brother.
Later on, buddy.